Hey friends! So today we're talking about the First Jewish-Roman War. It's also known as the Great Jewish Revolt, or just the Jewish War. This marked the onset of a series of major uprisings by Jews against the Roman Empire in Roman-controlled Judea. The conflict resulted in the ruin of Jewish settlements, the forced displacement of its populace. Judeans were taken back to Rome. Many lands were confiscated for Roman military purposes, and maybe one of the biggest impacts on the Jewish community, at least, was demolition of the Jewish temple. Oh yeah, and hey, I'm glad you're here. You're watching Von Flippant. Okay, so now it's 66 Common Era, 4 decades into the so-called Pax Romana. I have a video about that, so check it out. During the 12th year of Nero's reign, the revolt was sparked by the oppressive governance of Roman officials, widening socioeconomic disparities, and religious tensions between the Roman and Jewish communities. The situation worsened due to anti-tax protests. There was a lot of confrontations between Jews and pagans in the mixed cities throughout Judea. The Roman governor, whose name we have, his name was Gessius Florus, he aggravated the crisis by seizing funds from the Second Temple's treasury, and he arrested prominent Jewish figures. Like, what the fuck's up with that? This incited widespread uprising in Jerusalem. Rebel Jewish forces, captured Roman garrisons, and basically the Romans, up and left, they ran, they fled. The response, the legate of Syria, legate is a position in Roman militaries, so the legate of Syria, which is just a bit northeast of Judea, deployed the Syrian army, which included Legion 12. He had some initial success, but then that legion got devastatingly defeated at the hands of the Jewish rebels in a battle of Bet Horon. We had serious or significant Roman casualties here. That's uncalled for. They thought the Legion 7 could handle it. They could not. A provisional Jewish government was formed with a bunch of people. I'm not going to get into all the names, but I will mention that a Judean gentleman by the name of Josephus, he was appointed as a commander in the Galilee. Now, I mention this because Josephus, I'm going to fast forward a bit, but he would be captured in the succeeding war, and he would sort of assimilate into Roman culture, and he ended up writing the history books, and we have a lot of knowledge from this time period from this guy, from Josephus, so that's kind of cool. Roman General Vespasian. He was tasked by the emperor to crush these rebels, right, who just whipped them, and so General Vespasian invades the Galilee in 67 with support of a Herodian client king, Agrippa II, the last of the Herodian dynasty. Within months, Vespasian claims key Jewish strongholds in true Roman fashion. The Judeans, they just couldn't take the Roman heat, which sucks. That happened a lot to a lot of cultures and nations that were in the path of Rome. So Vespasian is claiming key Jewish strongholds throughout the territory. And in 69, Vespasian is called back to Rome. He goes back to Rome and he's proclaimed the emperor after Nero. Nero finishes his reign. I think he was assassinated. Don't take my word for it. And Vespasian is the new emperor. He leaves the responsibility for prosecuting this rebel suppression to his son, Titus. And Titus begins his siege of Jerusalem in 70 CE. So following a harsh 7-month siege, okay? I'm not gonna get into it, but it was epic and it definitely deserves its own video. The Judeans were not one homogeneous culture, and they didn't really have they weren't modern Jews as well. They had different sort of factions within them. The infighting weakened them. They ended up losing, and they lost their capital, and this is a big deal for the Judean population. Titus returns to Rome, and he leaves a legion to conquer the remaining Jewish strongholds, and this culminates in another siege, the siege of Masada, around 72 to 74. Another cool thing is when Titus returns to the streets of Rome, the capital, as a part of his triumphant procession, he brings the loot from the Temple of Judea, and he also brings many captives who are marching in chains in true epic Roman fashion. There's an ark that stands till this day in Rome, the Ark of Titus it is called, and it has on it stone reliefs, and you can see pictures of the Roman troops carrying the menorah from the Jewish temple. Pretty epic. Of course, this is a major and sad part of the Jewish identity and collective, but in Roman history, this was just, this was business. Part of the difficulty of running such a vast empire with diverse regions and distinct cultures. And it happened within the Pax Romana, and the Pax Romana is, the Roman peace, but in it wasn't really like just straight up peace for 200 years. There was a lot of fighting in that period, and this is an example of one of those. All right, so that's about it for this, and I definitely did not hit every detail here. This was cursory at best, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Von Flippant is growing, so if you guys made it this far, hooray, and until next time.